Welcome to Wallace on Wire. Today we're talking about the recent court case involving Datuk Akmal, the UMNO youth chief. When prominent political figures use national symbols to, well, rally public sentiment, it really does raise some critical questions about where exactly that line is drawn, between passionate advocacy and actions that could potentially incite public fear or disorder. To many people, it can feel less like genuine patriotism and maybe more like a calculated political move, something designed to mobilize support, maybe regardless of the societal cost.
It's undoubtedly a situation that brings that delicate balance into sharp focus, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The balance between freedom of expression on one hand and the responsibility to maintain public order on the other, especially in a diverse nation like ours.
Right.
The legal system is now essentially tasked with interpreting the intent behind these actions and also their actual impact. It's a complex task.
So as you're listening to this, what do you think? Is this a necessary stand for national dignity, or could it be a tactic that actually risks destabilizing social harmony? Let us know.
Okay, let's unpack this a bit more. What exactly happened today with Datuk Akmal at the Bukit Mertajam Magistrates Court?
Right, so today, Datuk Akmal was formally charged. It's under Section 505B of the Penal Code.
Okay, Section 505B, what does that cover?
Well, this specific section is quite significant. It targets acts that are intended to cause public fear or alarm, or acts that incite others to commit an offense against public order.
Serious stuff, then.
Potentially, yes. If found guilty, the penalties can be quite substantial. Up to 2 years in prison, a fine, or possibly both.
Wow.
He has, however, very firmly denied the charges, pleaded not guilty, and requested a trial.
2 years? That's certainly not trivial. What about bail? For such a serious charge, what were the conditions?
The court set bail at 5,000 ringgit Malaysia.
5,000 ringgit.
Yes, with one guarantor. And this figure was actually a compromise after a bit of back and forth.
Yeah, the prosecution initially pushed for 10,000 ringgit. They cited the, high public attention the case has received and its perceived severity.
Right, the public interest aspect.
Exactly. The defense, on the other hand, argued for a lower sum. They requested 2,000 ringgit. So 5,000 was the middle ground reached.
And when is the next step?
The next court date is what's called a mention, but basically a procedural hearing to manage the case progress, is scheduled for September 22nd.
Okay, September 22nd. So digging into the specifics, what actions or statements by Datuk Akmal were actually deemed serious enough to lead to this specific charge under Section 505B?
Well, the core of the accusation seems to stem from a video, one he posted on his Facebook account, Akmal Saleh, back on August 11th.
Okay, a Facebook video. What did he say?
In this video, Datuk Akmal explicitly stated, and this is the key part, that if the Attorney General's chambers didn't charge the hardware store owner involved in that inverted flag incident within 2 days, specifically he mentioned August 12th and 13th, then he, Datuk Akmal, would personally, and I'm quoting loosely here, teach the APEC how to properly hang the flag.
Teach the APEC, right. That word itself can be loaded.
It can be. The prosecution clearly views this content, that statement in particular, as having the potential to cause public panic and potentially incite others to harm public order. The term APEC, as you noted, while sometimes used informally for an older Chinese man, its connotation here, in this context, adds a definite layer of complexity to how the intent might be perceived.
And this wasn't just a one-off comment, was it? It sounds like he kept pushing things even after that video.
That's right, it didn't stop there. Following that initial video, Datuk Akmal continued to post on social media. He was directly challenging the Attorney General's chambers.
So doubling down, essentially.
You could say that. And despite police warnings against public gatherings, which is important context,
Very important.
he proceeded to lead a public walk. This was on August 14th. He wasn't alone. He was accompanied by supporters from UMNO youth and also, interestingly, Bersatu youth.
Ah, Bersatu youth too. Yeah.
They marched from the Kepala Batas night market right to the hardware store involved in the original flag incident.
And then?
There, speaking from the back of a pickup truck, he delivered a speech. He emphasized that their actions, as he put it, were not about causing trouble, but about defending the dignity of the national flag.
He even questioned the legality of assembly itself in that speech, didn't he? Something like, is protesting wrong? You all could protest before, why can't we now? It sounds almost like a direct challenge to authority.
Precisely. That rhetoric, especially questioning the right to assembly in such a, charged context, it definitely drew significant criticism.
I can imagine.
Various state units of the Democratic Action Party's Socialist Youth, they filed police reports. They criticized his actions pretty strongly, calling it a disregard for law and inciting conflict.
So the political reaction was swift.
Yes, and public opinion, at least as reflected in various online commentaries and media reports, seemed to largely question whether his proclaimed patriotic stance was maybe, in fact, a form of political manipulation, aimed at drumming up support.
Right. Moving to the scene today, at the court, sounds like it was quite something. Hundreds of supporters rallying for him. What does that kind of public display tell us?
It was definitely a significant gathering. The Bukit Mertajam Magistrates Court area was under heavy police guard right from the early morning. That itself tells you something about the anticipated tension or turnout.
Yeah, indicates the authorities were concerned.
Absolutely. And hundreds of UMNO youth supporters turned up. Many were wearing shirts with Datuk Akmal's image printed on them. They came from various states: Penang, Kedah, Selangor, Kelantan, even Kuala Lumpur.
Quite a mobilization then.
Indeed. They were chanting slogans like "Long live UMNO youth" and "With Akmal." They held banners high. There were even reports of collective prayers happening before he actually entered the courthouse.
Wow.
So this display, this unified support, it clearly signals the deep emotional connection and, frankly, the political resonance this case has within certain segments of the population. It's not just a legal matter for them.
And it wasn't just grassroots supporters either, right? Some notable political figures showed up too.
Yes, that's correct. Among those present showing solidarity was Datuk Nazifuddin,
Najib Razak's son.
the very same, son of the former Prime Minister, Datuk Seri Najib Razak. His presence definitely underscores the high-profile nature of this case and, well, its political significance within wider UMNO circles and beyond.
Interesting.
Datuk Akmal's mother and wife were also there, naturally lending personal support. So you had this mix, the grassroots, the family, and figures linked to the party establishment. It creates a powerful visual, a narrative around his defiance.
And Datuk Akmal himself. He seems completely unfazed by all this, by the charges. He keeps saying his actions are solely about defending the dignity of the national flag, right? And explicitly stating it's not about politics or race. He's even said he's willing to bear all consequences and called his actions a peaceful protest. This defiant stance is, well, it's fascinating. How do we interpret that? Is this genuine conviction driving him, or is there perhaps a deeper, maybe more calculated political intention behind it all?
Well, that really is the crucial question, isn't it? His public statements consistently frame his actions as a defense of the Jalur Gameling, our national flag, the strikes of glory and national dignity.
Right, that's the consistent message.
And he adamantly asserts his motives are neither racial nor political. His legal team has naturally reinforced this narrative. They contend the charges are baseless, that his quote-unquote struggle has no criminal element.
Okay, so that's his position.
But we have to consider the practical implications. When you use such strong, polarizing rhetoric, especially involving sensitive national symbols like the flag, it inevitably creates a highly charged atmosphere. It just does.
It ramps things up.
Exactly. And his direct challenge to authorities, saying something like, and again, I'm paraphrasing the sentiment reported, "Don't try to scare me with court charges, I'm not afraid," that further emphasizes a confrontational, not conciliatory stance.
So it's about impact versus intent again.
Precisely. This raises that vital legal and social question. Regardless of his claimed intent, does the impact of his actions and words on public order fall within the boundaries of incitement as defined by the law? Section 505B of the Penal Code focuses on causing public fear or alarm, or inciting others to commit an offense against public order.
So the law looks at the likely result, not just the motive.
Largely, yes. It's often less about definitively proving what was in his mind and more about assessing the reasonably foreseeable consequences of his public statements and actions. Could they likely cause fear? Could they likely incite disorder? This case really forces us to critically examine where that very fine line lies between passionate advocacy, even if it's deeply felt patriotism, and actions that carry a genuine risk of causing social unrest or public fear. And, it highlights the growing challenge of interpreting both intent and impact in our current age, where social media amplifies messages instantly, broadly, and often without context.
So as Datuk Akmal prepares for this trial, charged with allegedly inciting public fear through his social media comments and his actions around a national symbol, this case feels like it signifies a pretty critical moment. For political discourse, for public order in Malaysia, how do you see the eventual ruling, whichever way it goes, shaping things moving forward? How might it change how politicians engage with public sentiment, especially on these sensitive national issues?
That's a great question to end on. If we try to connect this to the bigger picture, the outcome here, whatever it is, could genuinely set a significant precedent. Well, it could provide clearer judicial guidance on the boundaries of political expression, particularly when it involves national symbols and, importantly, online conduct. For politicians, it might necessitate a reevaluation, maybe a more careful calibration of how they articulate concerns and mobilize support.
So potentially a more cautious approach.
Potentially, yes, especially regarding rhetoric that could easily be construed as inflammatory or having the potential to incite. Conversely, depending on the specifics of the ruling, it might also embolden certain forms of activism or protest. It really depends on how the court interprets Section 505B in this specific context.
Right.
Ultimately, this case highlights the evolving legal interpretation of incitement in our digital age.
Hmm.
And that doesn't just impact political figures like Datuk Akmal. It has implications for really any citizen engaging in public commentary online or offline. It's about where society, through its laws, draws those lines.
A lot to think about there. Thank you for that insight. Remember to like and subscribe for more videos like this.